And the biggest thing is that you're going to get out of your shell at this moment. And that is going to be very, very helpful for you. Whenever I feel really down and, I feel like I just feel terrible, and I can't talk to anybody, the moment when I actually talk to people and I say, you know what, I'm feeling really down, it's not nearly as scary as one would think it would be. And what ends up happening is when you feel vulnerable and you display this vulnerability to other people, people respond to that. They know that they are really, that they know that you're looking for their advice. So go and ask somebody. It doesn't matter who it is. Just ask for their advice. Be vulnerable and say, you know what, I'm just not feeling that good right now. Can you help me with this? And get out there and get some help from people around you in your immediate vicinity, whoever it is. That's so important at this moment in your life. And every time, I'm going to stress this once more, every time that I've felt like I couldn't do it was precisely the moment where I should have done that. And when I do open up and I say, you know what, there is something inside of me that is just not feeling right. And when I go talk to somebody and I say, you know what, I really need some advice at this moment, whether it's your advisor, supervisors, friends, whoever, parents, relatives, that kind of stuff, it will feel so much better when you do this. A counselor, doesn't matter. A psychiatrist, just go do it at this moment and they're going to help you out. So with that, a couple of things that you should know, or what I want to talk about with this video. The first thing is a lot of work, and it doesn't matter what field you're in. It really doesn't. If you are a garbage person, if you are a psychiatrist, if you are doing, if you're a skier, a national ranked skier, it all feels very mundane when you're actually in that activity. Even if you are a critic, right, a food critic, and you get to go around and visit all of the best restaurants, you get to try the best wines around the world, that's eventually going to start feeling like work, and you're not going to really enjoy it. If you get to test drive Ferraris for a living, it's eventually going to feel like work, and you're not going to like it after a while. And so really what is driving a lot of these emotions is your brain's going from, that excitement mode to sort of, this is repetition. And the whole repetition component of work, doesn't matter what it is what's kind of driving that. And your mind is kind of wandering and you're starting to think about different things. And so you want to move away from that as much as you can and actually engage in the activities and enjoy the activities. So that's really why it's really important, why the activity that you chose, or the thing you chose, is actually driving, or that you're motivated to do that particular thing. So I'm assuming that you're motivated to work in the area that you chose. And you wouldn't have gotten into the PhD if you didn't get to, or you wouldn't have got to the stage if you didn't get to that, that you weren't personally motivated to sort of discover something and go in that particular direction. Now, if you're not motivated, please watch some of the other videos where I talk about all this kind of stuff of how to get motivated, and maybe choosing a topic where you can get motivated. And it really just kind of it's just tweaking what you're already doing. So if you're doing something about, foreign direct investment, FDI, really boring stuff, right? I apologize for people that investigate foreign direct investment. I was interested at one point, but it can be boring. Go and make an element of it that makes it exciting to you. So do foreign direct investment of teddy bears if you love teddy bears, for example. I mean, it's silly, but it's true. I mean, people do foreign direct investment. Companies do foreign direct investment of teddy bears. If you like to investigate, bacteria, for example, and it's boring you to tears, well, go and investigate some sort of bacteria that is interesting. So I don't know, off the top of my head, maybe it is, bacteria on toilet seats. I don't know. Or maybe it is bacteria that is shared during kissing activities, right? So, just do something that interests you and explore that. That's going to help you out a lot in terms of getting motivated. So those are the two things. And one more thing is, some people truly are just not motivated in things in their life. We all have different dispositions, and we all sort of enjoy different things to different degrees. And some of us are more like jazzed about things than others. And so you just have to recognize that as well. Sometimes we're just not wired in that sort of way. Our character or disposition or traits that we have just doesn't make us kind of wired to go 100% in one direction or 100% in another direction. Some of us are just kind of and that's fine, right? Like that's totally fine. You just have to recognize that is the case, and that everything is going to be a little bit of sort of tediousness or mundanity for you. So with that being said, in terms of getting through the funk of writing and depression, this is kind of things that I personally have experienced and deal with, and I deal with this on a regular basis. So it's not anything new in any sort of way. The first thing that I would suggest, if you're feeling in a funk and there is, that feeling, like that really not so nice feeling in your belly that we all get, is just go, deal with the immediate relationships that are actually causing that. This is usually probably something that's going on immediately. So maybe it's your advisors that you're stressing out in terms of the feedback that you're getting from the advisors, or maybe you're feeling that you're unproductive to them and they're not dealing with that in some sort of way, or maybe your performance, they're expecting a higher performance from you, but you just can't achieve that. Well, just go and talk to them about that and say, I really can't achieve what you are expecting of me. And if you get a nasty relationship or a nasty response to that is not professional and that's not adult in any sort of way, that's probably not the right person that you should be dealing with on a daily basis. If they actually do deal with you and they are being adult and they're responding with your requests, and an adult is being like an actual human being and saying, I recognize that you're struggling with this. I struggle with this as well. Then recognize that they're actually trying to help you out, and that's going to help you in a long ways. And then try to come up with some sort of agreement or have a discussion on how to move forward with that. So maybe it is that you meet with your advisors or supervisors on a weekly basis, or maybe you write. Their expectations are that you write 40 pages a week, which is, it's a lot, but not unheard of in any sort of way. But yeah, maybe you can't achieve that. So you make a sort of contractual arrangement that you're going to write 5. And those 5 pages, think about it, 5 pages over the course of a year, that's 250 pages. That's not bad. That's going to get you done for sure. And you should maybe aim for something like that and come up with some sort of contractual arrangement where you can actually produce in some sort of way, right? That you're actually showing that you're producing. The second thing that I would suggest is, other than sort of dealing with immediate relationships and sort of all that kind of stuff, that's probably what's driving a lot of the emotion. The second thing that I would suggest is, you're probably expecting too much of yourself on a daily basis. Whenever I feel really like, I'm not being productive in any sort of way, I'm expecting far too much of what I am doing. And what you need to do is lower those expectations. So 2 things, lower those expectations, and I'll get into it in sort of the third point here. Or try to not do the social comparison thing, right? So if you're comparing yourself to your other colleagues, if you're going onto Facebook, don't go onto Facebook. That's going to be sort of the death of you in terms of the feelings that you get, right? That you're just not going to feel really good with feelings that you actually get by going on to social comparison, social media things. Or if you're looking at other people and saying that they're producing so much more than you, well, maybe they just have some sort of inherent abilities, or maybe, that they are doing stuff that you possibly would not allow yourself to do in some sort of way, like taking performance enhancing drugs during that time period. I'm not saying that everybody does that, but it's been known to happen in many other areas. So you just have to recognize that is the case, and that stuff can happen, and you should maybe not be. You shouldn't be comparing yourself in those kind of ways, and so you're expecting too much from yourself. So the third thing that I think is going to be really important is to measure your performance in some sort of operational way. So what do I mean by that? Is maybe set a target for yourself to write 5 pages a week, and have it at this stage for you when you're feeling in a funk. Set it pretty low. I don't want you to set it really high because it's not going to be achievable. In fact, the sort of stretch goal idea where you set things really high, I'm not a big fan of that because that's great in the short term, but it's a recipe for you to get burnt out in a lot of different ways, in terms of getting something done immediately. But then, people that sort of study that or think about it, you might not think about the long-term effects of sort of pushing yourself and working 60, 70 hours a week or 100 hours a week or whatever the number is. That's not sustainable for the long run. It's sustainable for, a very, very short time period, but it's not sustainable in the long run. So what I want you to do is set a reasonable operational target. So whether it is, I'm going to shut down the internet on my computer and write for 4 hours a day. And once I'm done those 4 hours, and it has to be 4 hours, then that's done. Or I'm going to write X number of pages a day. And once I achieve that, that's done. Or I'm going to read X number of papers a day. Maybe it's 2 papers a day. Once I achieve that, I'm done. And that's the rest of the day. And the rest of the day is for you to spend to have fun. So the other thing that I want you to do is once you achieve that target, right, is you just have to say, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to do any more stuff. So this is important to give yourself breaks throughout the day. And to deal with that. So when I start getting funky throughout the day, and that happens on a regular basis, we all get through that. We have this expectation we should sit and write for 4 hours straight. Well, that's garbage. Give yourself at an hour, give yourself a 5-10 minute break and go and have some fun to figure out what it is. Turn off the screen, go do something that is going to give yourself a break. And that's going to help you out a little bit. And then the other thing is throughout the day, once you achieve that target, so that maybe it's 5 pages a day of written work or 2 articles that you've read, stop. And, that's it. That's what your goal is at this moment, is to achieve that. Once you've achieved that, that's good enough for the day, and go have some fun. Go outside, go do some sort of fitness activity. Go just be yourself. Go out and have fun. Plan to have as much fun as you possibly can. Life is going to pass you by so incredibly quickly if you don't sort of latch onto those moments. So you're right now probably at a stage where you're like 25, maybe 30 years old. Your life is amazing at this moment, and you could do so many things. Just go out and do those things and enjoy it and plan for those moments. We all get in this funk, and we all kind of deal with this kind of stuff. So I want you to actually take some time to go out and enjoy life and do things that are fun for yourself. And yeah, okay, so your PhD takes you 5 years instead of 4, or, takes you 7 years instead of 6. But as long as you're making progress, it's consistent, you're actually doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, and you're achieving objectives, who cares, right? At the end of the day, that it really doesn't matter. It's going to cost you a little bit of time. And, you might have to deal with some sort of financial constraints. Well, if that's the case, once you reach that sort of moment where you have to deal with that, well, then go get a little part-time job and deal with that, or try to get financial resources in some sort of way to deal with that. But at the moment, just deal with actually doing the work and having fun when you're doing the work. So give yourself these kind of little rewards. Just enjoy life at the end of the day.